How many squares do you see? Take a good look at your surroundings. Look again. How about now? Have you spotted them all? Well, I hope you saw at least one, because if not, you're probably not looking hard enough. During the Shang Dynasty, from 1600 to 1046 BC, bronze vessels were made in the shape of a square and decorated with dragons, which symbolized the emperor's connection to the heavens. The square shape is meant to represent the perfection and completeness of the sacrifice made by Jesus Christ. Each side of the square may represent one of the four directions or one of the four elements. Some Native American tribes use the square in their creation stories and believe that the world was created in the shape of a square. It seems as though the world itself is made up of squares. This is something that has kept me up at night for years. When you walk outside, take a look at the buildings around you. Your bed, your table, your sofa, even your clothes may be made in rectangular shapes. Take a look at your phone or computer screen. Everything you see on them is contained within a square or rectangular frame. If so, you're not alone. I too am often surprised by just how many squares I see throughout the day. The concept of the square is also deeply embedded in our culture and society. From the board games we play to the business deals we strike, the concept of the square is everywhere. We use squares to divide up land, to organize our finances, and even to measure our success. It's a testament to how ingrained this shape is in our everyday lives. The square is a symbol of order and logic, but it also represents a certain rigidity and lack of spontaneity. Living in a world dominated by squares can make us feel as though we are trapped in a box, unable to think outside the lines or break free from the confines of our environment. The photos you post, the videos you watch, the text you read, even your digital artwork is confined to a rectangular space. The constant pressure to conform to the expectations of society can be overwhelming, and the feeling of being trapped is all too real. Embrace the chaos and uncertainty of life and allow yourself to be free. That's why I've started to seek out more natural environments where I can escape the confines of the square. Spending time in nature has helped me to reconnect with my creativity and to see the world in a new way. It's a reminder that there is more to life than the squares that dominate our everyday lives. It's almost as though the square is a prison that traps everything within it. Most of them will be square or rectangular. Notice the windows and how they are arranged. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Let me know in the comments below. You'll often see how they create square shapes on your walls. The square is everywhere. It is in our homes, in our cities, in our technology, and even in the shadows that dance on our walls at night. They are usually in a grid pattern. Pay attention to the streets and the blocks. They are often laid out in a rectangular grid as well. If you look up at the sky, you might even notice that the clouds are often depicted as square shapes in weather reports and forecasts. And once you start down this rabbit hole, you begin to realize how the square is everywhere. It's hard to imagine our lives without them. They're part of our everyday reality. But it's when we stop to think about it that we realize just how strange it is that we're so obsessed with this particular shape. Why is it that we choose to build our homes and cities in such a way that everything is based on a grid of squares? And what does it mean for us as individuals to live in a world that is so heavily influenced by this particular shape? In Islam, the square is used in the construction of mosques and is often used to decorate Islamic art. The square shape is meant to represent the infinity of God and the universe. The square shape was also used in traditional Chinese medicine as a way to represent the balance of the body. And what I'm going to tell you next will make you question everything you see in life. The Hindu goddess Kali is sometimes depicted standing on a square platform, and the square is also used in the construction of Hindu temples. In Hinduism, a religion that originated in India, the square is considered to be a symbol of non-violence or ahimsa. Jains believe that all living beings should be treated with respect, and the square shape is meant to represent this principle. Now let's start with a rapid montage of square objects. Phones, screens, windows, computer tiles, books, rooms, buildings. All are symbolic of the four walls that confine us and the boxes we tick in our daily lives. But why is it that humans have such an obsession with this shape? We live in a highly advanced technological era, yet there are still so many aspects of our daily lives that are controlled and influenced by unseen forces. You could argue that we are slaves to this invisible system. Now, whether you agree with that statement or not, I think it's important to understand how certain symbols and concepts like the square can hold so much power over our thoughts and actions. What makes the square so powerful? Pythagoras and his followers treated it as a symbol of the divine order that governed the cosmos. Pythagoras, the Greek mathematician and philosopher who lived between 570 and 495 BC, was one of the first people to study the properties of squares. In fact, the Pythagorean theorem, still taught in schools today, relates to the lengths of the sides of a right-angled triangle and shows the relationship between squares. He believed that numbers held the key to understanding the universe, and he saw the square as the perfect geometric shape because it represents balance and order. For Pythagoras, the square was more than just a shape. It was a representation of the harmony and balance of the natural world. His belief in the importance of the square had a profound impact on Western philosophy and mathematics. To understand why our lives are trapped in four sides, we must go back in time to discover how ancient civilizations laid the foundations for the modern world. Ancient Egyptians used squares to build huge pyramids. They were drawn to its stability. It's a well-known fact that a square base is more stable than a triangular one, because no force can ever dislodge it unless it comes from above. The Egyptians also built their entire cities using squares, creating the very first grid system in history. But it wasn't until the Romans arrived that the use of squares reached new heights. Roads were made into straight lines, forming the basis of street grids, which has inspired the likes of Manhattan, New York, where almost every street is lined by a square grid, making it one of the most prominent examples of how these geometrical shapes dominate our lives. The rise of the square goes beyond just being a practical tool. In ancient China, the square was associated with heaven and was seen as the symbol of the emperor's power. In Hinduism, the square is a symbol of stability and strength and is often used in religious ceremonies. In Christianity, the square is sometimes used as a symbol of the Eucharist, the bread and wine that is consecrated in the Mass. In Native American cultures, the square is a symbol of the earth and is often used in ceremonies related to healing and balance. Now, I don't want to come across as some crackpot conspiracy theorist who's gone on some weird rant about shapes. So let me explain myself. When we look around, we see squares everywhere. Windows, doors, TV screens, computer monitors. By understanding the deeper meaning of the square, we can start to see how it has shaped our world and our lives in ways that we never realized before. Here's a list of things to look out for. Next, go inside your house and pay attention to the shapes you see. Many of the rooms will be square or rectangular. And finally, when you go to sleep at night, look at the shadows cast by the moonlight or streetlights. So how many squares did you see during your day? Did you find yourself counting them as you went about your daily routine? But it's not just about the physical squares that surround us. Perhaps the most insidious way that the square shapes our lives is in the way that it influences our thinking. This is something that I've felt firsthand, having spent most of my life in big cities. So I encourage you to do the same. Go outside, explore the world, and see all the beauty that it has to offer. Don't let the squares win. What do you think? Is our world really controlled by unseen forces? And what do you think is the significance of the square? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Thanks for watching.